Nope.
All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode
Hey,
of the
how you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm David Rich, your host. We have Church Jackson on tonight, which I'm really excited about. I've been wanting to get somebody such as yourself on the show for a while. So Church is a member of the the Satanic Temple. Thank you. I screwed it up like 4 times. I said Church of Satan, the Temple of Satan, and everybody's like, "What are you talking about?" So it's the Satanic Temple.
Let me know you. Let me. Yeah, I can't talk. This is a bad start. Let me
Yes.
let you in on a secret.
Okay.
It's all made up bullshit, so you're good.
Okay. Yeah. No problem. Thank you. But the temple is the Satanic Temple actually stands out a bit from the others because of its social justice. Its emphasis on socio-political economic justice, I should say.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Which is interesting. We'll get to that in a second. But why don't you go ahead, Church, and tell us about the history of the Satanic Temple and how.
Well, I mean, how I got involved is, it's not very fascinating. But as far as the history of the, do you want to know the history of the Satanic Temple or just of Satan, like of people being accused of Satanists, like throughout history?
Well, let's start with the historical accusations of Satanists. I know the '80s were a hot spot.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get the Satanic Panic in the '80s and early '90s, but it goes way further back. Like during the Crusades, the Knights Templar were basically accused of being Satanists, and
By the French king and the Pope, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They were accused of worshiping Baphomet,
yeah.
who, oddly enough, recently there's been historians that have thought the translation of Baphomet is actually a rough translation of Muhammad. So they're starting to think that the Knights Templar was actually early founders of that there were Muslims, which is really, really fascinating.
That is fascinating. I hadn't heard that. And I always was curious about why they were accused of worshiping Baphomet, because my understanding of Baphomet, at least the image, was developed by Eliphas Levi in the 1800s.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know about the name or the concept behind it, but my understanding, but the head, the boobs, the goat's bottom, that the universe's duality, that kind of thing.
Right. And then there was like the way the body was formed is based off of the Egyptian god. I'm derping out the name right now.
There's Set, Osiris, Anubis.
No, it's like Boss. I want to say it's Boss.
Bot. There's Mot and Boss. Boss is the cat.
Yeah. If you look at like the early designs, it is very. It's got like. I don't want to sound ridiculous, but it's kind of got like boobs, and like you can see where they borrowed from it.
Some people have boobs.
Well,
it's okay.
I always worry about sounding like a child when I say things like that. Like, it's boobies.
Yeah, I know, I get you. So say tits.
Say titties, yeah. All right. Now we're talking.
All right. Anyway, go ahead about Baphomet. Sorry.
No. I actually really appreciate that. It bought me time to look at my notes. I still cannot find the name of the other deity they borrowed from the design.
I don't know. I mean, Set was a weird one. Anubis, Hathor, Isis, Osiris, Horus, Amun-Ra. I mean,
I'll think. It wasn't a
wasn't a major deity
one. No. I'll think of it.
You talking about Pan or the satyr?
Yeah. It was Pan. Okay. Thank you.
Pan, Pan. With the goat's legs. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I feel dumb because it was Pan, and I should just know that off the top of my head.
It's okay.
But anyway, back to like the real topic. You go to the Americas during the like what was it, the 19 or 19 when were the Salem witch trials?
1600s.
Yeah, 1600s. Anybody who was practicing any sort of holistic medicine, doing anything, literally anything, shook if you were a woman and you shook your ass wrong, which,
yep,
like every girl I know today would have been called a witch, even like the really proper ones. You know what I mean?
We wouldn't have any women left because they'd all be stoned to death.
Right. And not the good kind of stone, not the
Good
kind of stone I did before I got on the show.
The kind I'll be doing after the show.
Absolutely. And then it happens throughout history, and then it really starts picking up in the modern times. I kind of fast forwarded through a bunch, but it's all the same story repeated over and over again. You know what I mean? Somebody's strange, somebody's different. Let's persecute them. We'll call him a Satanist. It's just an easy target. And then you fast forward to the 70s, you get into the Manson cult. That puts the fear into America, like that real, they're next door. You don't know, like that's the beauty of it.
They're in your house.
Yeah. Right. They're in your house. They could be your daughter. Like that was how they did it, man. They told you that you weren't safe. So when you're not safe, you got Richard Ramirez running around saying Satan's telling me to kill people. Well, anybody wearing a Metallica t-shirt, the little kid wearing a Metallica t-shirt was the guy who raped and killed those little kids. Right. It's him and his friends.
Yeah, there was some famous case, and I don't remember.
West Memphis 3. Yeah, I was making a direct reference to that. That was actually, we're talking about how I got into it, how I got into like Satanism and stuff is I found that case at actually a very early age and never really connected the dots between like my personal beliefs and like the beliefs of like actual Satanists, as opposed to like the parody of Satanists that people kind of see in their brain, like we definitely don't. I mean, I know I'm just talking to the converted here, but like obviously we don't worship the the guy in the little red suit with the little horns, like
little tail, bit short.
Yeah, like that. Even if you want to get into the Bible, like that's not what Satan looked like in the Bible at all. Like,
is there a description of Satan in the Bible?
It's not in the Bible, but there are Italian paintings from back then that depicts Lucifer, and Lucifer is depicted as a blue angel that looks just like every other angel, but he's set aside because he's blue, and like that is apparently how you can tell it's supposed to be Satan. And so he was not depicted as this creature of monster. He was, he's a fallen angel. Like he was a guy who had the gall to ask why. Right. You know what I mean? And that's why I think Lucifer, and this is a big part of Satanism as far as I understand it, and Luciferianism. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
is free thinking.
Yeah.
Being able to think for yourself and rely on your own will instead of what's the point of having free will and the ability to reason if you're supposed to just hand it all over to a god?
Exactly.
It's just kind of stupid. Absolutely. That's a beautiful interpretation of that myth. Even going back to the Garden of Eden, when the snake, when Satan tempted Eve, what did he say? He said, if you eat this, you're going to know the difference between right and wrong. You're going to become like gods. But why the fuck? Why wouldn't we want that?
Right.
And God's like, no, I want to keep you stupid. And then so you had two diverging lineages there. One is freedom and liberation of yourself, and one is oppression and slavery. Right. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell.
It's interesting that even people, because people weren't stupid back then.
No.
You know what I mean?
You see some of the architecture?
Yeah. And it's easy to think like, oh, these people didn't think, and they didn't, have proper education and whatever. And like, sure, they didn't understand how to split the atom, but I mean, they had common sense.
Yeah, because that worked out so well for us.
Right. But you have to wonder, like, how didn't this get sniped out? Was it just people with money keeping like the intelligent down? Like how did that? I mean, that's really what it is. Like, I was trying to create a question, but like literally that is just the answer. Like money, power, greed.
No, it's ridiculous.
Speaking of money, power, and greed, I've always found really fascinating. We got to the satanic panic. We're just about there, and this is my like milieu. Like I know all about this.
Oh, nice.
When I was a kid, like my mom was Wiccan. Like she wasn't
nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I was raised in a very interesting environment. Just put it that way. Anyway, I really got into like the concept of the oppressed. Like I really dug seeing like bands and stuff stand up for people that were getting like the shit kicked out of them, you know. Mm-hmm. So like when I discovered like Henry Rollins talking about guys like the West Memphis 3, and you know, I have a parent who's encouraging me to go and look this up and not just be like, oh, it's you know, it's a thing. You know, don't worry about it. Those kids were bad. No, like see what happened, you know? And luckily enough, there was a really intense series of documentaries HBO did right around the time that I was finding this stuff, called Paradise Lost.
Yep.
And like the series of events. Hold on real quick. Hey, Punky, come here. Just come here.
I can hear your doggy.
Yeah, he's about to crash this whole set. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Paradise Lost.
Oh, yeah. So like, yeah, my mother encouraged me to really like seek that out, and that really informed things that came later on with me. To discover that. So in the 80s, how all this gets started is there is a very famous book called I want to say Maggie.
A book printed in the 80s?
Yeah.
I don't.
Here it is. All right, here it is. It's called Michelle Remembers. It was printed in 1980 by Louis Pasteur is the guy's name, along with a woman named Maggie Smith, or Michelle Smith, sorry. Michelle Smith. And it was about like cults, like satanic cult abuse in Vancouver.
Right.
The interesting thing is none of this had evidence. There's absolutely no evidence that it was brought as a true story. So all of these book publishers are seeing how much money this is making. Lawrence, what the heck was his name? Lawrence Pasteur made $2.1 million alone off this book. So all these copycat books start popping up around about, oh, my abuse case. I was in a foster home that
and the parents were Satanists, and they put me through horrific rituals and all that shit, and satanic abuse. And
I want to say something real fast before we get into this. I am not victim blaming. I am not anything. I'm sure those things happened to those people. I'm not saying those people were lying or doing anything. I'm sure that happened, and I'm very sorry for it. But the reality is that Satan had nothing to do with that.
No,
those were bad people,
right?
That use Satan as a scapegoat,
right?
Because the catch is there is no Satan. That's the big illusion here. There's no Satan and there's no God, and God had a much part of those kids in Boston getting molested by those priests as Satan did in any of those cases. Right. It's just people copping out of bullshit actions.
Right.
And like I didn't mean to get serious here, but like that stuff really, really bothers me.
No, that's fucked. Any sort of child abuse bothers me. I mean,
yeah,
are you kidding me? It's
obviously,
awful.
absolutely, yeah. I don't mean like I'm special because child abuse is terrible. No, it's dude.
Child abuse is awful. I mean, you're a complete coward if you do it in the first place. You're just
right.
loser. I mean, it's a child. How could a child possibly be loser? But my understanding too of some of that is that, because I remember going over this in our it's called epistemology class. Epistemology is a branch of philosophy that studies knowledge. Anyway, so we were looking at like different cases and like what counts as evidence, what doesn't, how delicate evidence can be, that kind of thing. And so what I understanding is that at least some of these cases, when the children were going to, or sometimes teens were going to their psychologist or whatever, they had records of psychologists or psychiatrists actually planting the memories in the kid's head. You know about this? And so they would recall things later that never fucking happened.
Right.
You know, because it was just the satanic panic. It just pervaded so much shit. Yeah, no,
my uncle touched me on my 14th birthday in this, and like my uncle all of a sudden was in Vegas during that time. You know, like knowing for a fact, like that's fucking bullshit.
He couldn't have done it.
Right.
Unless he warped time and space, he couldn't have done it.
Right.
So
there's cases. I wish I could pull up like in my memory bank like the actual names. There's multiple cases of people that had daycare centers that did 15, 20, 30 years and are being within the past 10 years let out because we did DNA evidence and it couldn't have been you. Whoops, sorry. We're done.
I couldn't even, I've said this before, just to get a little political, I couldn't imagine losing my liberty over something I know I didn't do.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that's just not fucked up.
That's not political, man. That's just freedom.
That's
actually like a beautiful little, I don't know if you want to call it a segue or what, but like that is exactly what we stand for.
Right.
It's freedom, the power to make that decision. Like that is what Satanism is about. It's
100%.
It is not about the gangbangs and
the blood orgies.
Yeah, let me tell you something, man. I've had a lot of parties. I've done quite a few drugs. Never gotten to go to a blood orgy. Just never gotten invited to one. Maybe it's my fucking hair. Maybe I smell bad. I don't know, but I have never sacrificed a baby in my life, and I've come across some asshole babies, man. Like, dude,
they're out there. They're
out there.
There's some dick babies for sure. But Jesus Christ, what just happened? Anyway, that's okay.
Punch a baby in the face.
Oh my God, those damn babies, always trying to take our jobs.
Right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Satanic Panic, so that's a very, very brief history of Satanism through the ages.
Absolutely.
So that brings us up to, well, let's go back to the 60s and the inception of
the LaVey area?
The LaVey area. 1966, I don't remember the day, I can never pronounce the fucking thing. Warsha, some sort of pagan holiday.
Yeah,
he announced the Aeon of Satan, the follow-up with the Aeon of Horus, uttered by Aleister Crowley. Yep. And it was the age of, like I said, individualism, self-empowerment, liberty, freedom, hedonism, physical pleasure, in a lot of ways.
If it feels good, do it.
It feels good, do it. If a lot of it was about, exactly, it feels good, do it. That's perfect.
If you're not hurting somebody, like, go for it, brother.
Right, and then there was a high priest in the Church of Satan named Dr. Michael Aquino, who left the church with some other people. It was some sort of like coup, not a coup because they didn't try to overthrow him. They just sort of left. An exodus. There you go. It started the Temple of Set in 1975.
Yep.
The Temple of Set is something I was a member of for about a year in the 90s. It was fascinating, changed my life. I loved it. It's defined me in a lot of ways. Absolutely.
Could you open up about that? Because I actually am not very familiar with Set. Like I know of it, but I don't really know any of the backstory really.
Between the Church of Satan and the Temple of Set? Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so real quick, they'd probably get mad at me for speaking for them because I'm not a member anymore, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's me and I don't care. The big difference, I'll say this, the big philosophical difference is that Satanism is, like you said, there is really no, according to LaVey and Church of Satan Satanists, Satan is an archetype. It is not an objectively existing God or anything like that. Same thing with God. God does not exist. They use them as sort of tools to further themselves, to help themselves in certain ways. Whereas the Temple of Set believes that Set or Satan in different iterations actually objectively exists. So
Okay.
Satanism, Church of Satan, Satanism is atheistic. Temple of Set, Setianism or Satanism is theistic. It believes that Set and Isis and all the rest of the gods is an infinitely large pantheon of gods.
Right.
Which I would personally agree with, but that's fine. I mean, I'm not here to argue over that.
Nitpick, yeah.
Yeah, nitpick. So that's the one of the big differences. But as far as like the individuality, individual freedom, the emphasis on choice and accountability, that's all definitely part of the Setian doctrine as well, 100%.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And then a little bit later on, I don't know when, but that's why you're here. The Satanic Temple came into being.
Yeah, that was I believe it was 2013. I'm gonna get raked over a coal for that. I think it's wrong actually. It's either 2013 or 2003, and I am feeling really stupid at the moment.
Well, you're not stupid. You said you're just stoned.
Yeah, that's generally my
your
excuse for everything. Yeah, I should be used to it by now.
When did the Satanic Temple start?
2012. Yep,
2012. You're off by a year.
2012. In my notes, it's 2013, so I was kind of wrong.
You were kind of right.
Right.
With very cool purple hair or blue hair.
Oh, dude, this hair sucks. Like, it looks terrible. It looks fine
very blue.
Right here.
It's very blue.
Yeah, it's super blue. I wanted it to be dark, and it came off all like this.
So I used to have really long hair, and I had tried many attempts at many different colors, and very infrequently did I succeed at what I wanted. But that's why I just went and said, fuck it, just shave it off.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, the Satanic Temple, tell us. 2012.
It was founded in 2012. We are mostly a political. It's more of political than it is religion. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. Because I mean, honestly, we're not theistic at all. So we're really more about pointing out the like we was talking to you earlier before the stream. We're more about pointing out the hypocrisy in the church and state laws. There was something that happened in Oklahoma. Can you recall the actual date? I'm terrible with dates.
No.
A few years ago. It's a few years ago.
It's recent. Somewhat recent.
Yeah. They not resurrected, but they built a temple, not a temple, a statue of the Ten Commandments in a very, very public building.
I think it was at the City Hall.
Was it City Hall? My brain wanted to say that it was like somewhere more of like the Capitol building, but I didn't want to say.
Okay.
Sure.
That might be it.
Right.
It was a governmental public area.
Yeah, somewhere it has no right to be. So the Satanic Temple raised the money to have a massive, I believe it was bronze statue of Baphomet built, and kind of raised a whole bunch.
If Christians can put some bullshit out, then so can we.
So can we. And we raised a bunch of ruckus. I got a mouse in my pocket. I had nothing to do with it.
You were there in spirit.
Right. I was there after I found out about it. I was like, yeah, that's fucking dope. Let's do it. But they raised some hell. And I think, honestly, that might be about the time that I really took notice of them. And I was like, oh, look at these shitsters. I like your moxie. And then you look into it and you're like, yeah, all right. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring for this. This is pretty sweet. And, that's pretty much, there's multiple cases. It helps raise awareness for the situations going on with Planned Parenthood, which is...
I was going to say they had something to do with like abortion.
Real, yeah. They're huge human rights activists. Like... They, we, us, them, all the acronyms. Acronyms, that's not right. I try to sound smart and I sound stupid.
Acronyms is...
letters.
Yeah, acronyms are like TOS.
Yeah. But, anyway, Jesus. I don't know. That's pretty much it as far as I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah, but
it,
but did they start the do you know who started the Satanic Temple?
you know what? I don't actually. I'm gonna just be honest. I do not know the name. I thought I looked it up and it is not in there, so I'm not gonna
Okay,
pretend like it's in there.
that's fine. But I
I,
mean, did
I
it start specifically because of the social justice emphasis?
yeah. As far as I've always heard, like that was the decision to make the branch off from like LaVeyan Satanism was like to be more of like shit stirrers as opposed to like just sitting back on our high horse. I mean, like, oh, look how cool we are with our black, shrouds and stuff. The Satanic Temple, I believe, is trying to make it. Boy, I don't like using this word because it's a stupid word, but like to make it more mainstream, uh, to make it okay for a kid to come home one day and be like, "Hey, Dad, I think I'm a Satanist," and him be like, "All right,"
Good for you. You stick to justice, right? That kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
like if that's what you feel good for it, because I know if I came like maybe not with my parents, but like if I would have told my grandparents that like, oh, I'm a card carrying Satanist, like boy, that would have been something. You know what I mean? Like case in point, like I love my grandparents. Like this is not a slight on them, but like this is the environment in which they thought of religion and stuff. My grandma loved true crime stuff, loves cop shows. So when True Detective came out, that was a big show for me. It's pretty. Did you ever watch that?
no.
That's super nihilist. No, you never watched it?
Mhm.
Oh, you should. You should.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
you should. It is not
No, I like true
like
crime stuff for sure. I mean,
yeah,
but
but
I just never.
it's not CSI. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson in a very hard-boiled detective story. That's also about like nihilism and the tenets of Satanism and stuff like that. It's really really deep
Wait,
stuff.
is this a series or a movie?
It was a series. It was they did oh, there are 3 seasons, but each season is a self-contained story.
Sorry.
So it's like
It's called True Detective.
True Detective. Yeah, it was on HBO series for a while. It's really really good.
All right,
But
okay.
anyway, um, one of the characters, Matthew McConaughey's character Cole, is just a complete nihilist. He like the way he sees the world is absolutely broken. And there's a scene in the show, first episode, he makes a comment about how he sees the world, and it's a very bleak outlook. And I was like, damn, I have never related to anything more in my life. And instead of like, I just was an honest little moment, watching it with my grandma, and the line I think was, "We were a mistake in human existence, and we should walk hand in hand into the ocean." Like, just, end it. It's a failed experiment.
Call it a day. Yeah.
Yeah, and my grandma heard me say that I identified that with more than anything I'd ever heard in my life, and instead of getting angry or anything, she just got up and walked out of the room and didn't talk to me for like 3 days.
Oh wow.
And I was like, that was just being honest. And she's like, I know, that's why it upset me. And I was like, well, don't be upset. Just know I don't feel the same as you. And she was cool about it, but it was definitely not something that I think they would approve of. Although she wasn't very religious, though. So, like, I don't even know. It's very interesting.
How did your parents go Wiccan if they were brought up under that sort of canon?
All right, well, my dad wasn't. My dad was... Boy, I don't even know what my dad was. I don't think my dad knew what he was. Very interesting life. But my mom, she's just kind of a rebel rouser, had an interesting relationship. Whoops. That is my fault. Did I break it?
No,
I think I broke it. Did I break it?
I can see you.
Cool. Slowing it down. Weird.
All right.
That's weird. Is it broken?
I don't know. I can see you. Yeah, you're a little, little slow, but it makes some sense.
All right. But yeah, she I don't really know exactly. I think what it is She had me when she was 18, and that was 85. So she would have been like 20 or like 23, 24 in the early 90s when like all of that occult stuff started becoming popular and like in the mainstream. And I think
Marilyn Manson and Slipknot and the whole goth scene, emo scene, industrial scene, the vampire scene. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And like she was never super into that as much as she was like she's like a hippie witch. The term like I always heard was like a forest with an earth witch.
Nice.
So like there's that. But for a while, like I mean for the longest time I just was an atheist. And then I dicked around with like pantheism. I can never even pronounce it.
Pantheism?
But, the belief that like the possibility of everything is just like every god is real and all that. And I was like, well, there's that, but at that point, like, what does it even fucking matter? And it just didn't really work with me in my head, and just kind of said, fuck it.
No, that's an interesting point. I mean, I've heard that a lot about like arguments against some sort of theism or the existence of gods in any way. Like, okay, so let's say they exist. I mean, everything's still as fucked as it was a minute ago. Right. But okay. That's very interesting, and that's very cool. So let's talk about magic. In the Satanic Temple, is there any sort of disposition toward practicing magic?
No.
Nothing at all? No rituals? Nothing?
I mean, there is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to speak over my jerk-ass dog. There's always rituals and stuff. It's all part of the pageantry, but it doesn't mean anything. It's there to Jesus Christ. Sorry. Come here.
It's okay.
Come here.
It kind of adds a cool effect.
Right. It sounds like someone's getting tortured. I don't even know why. He was out like 20 minutes before I started this thing. It's just because I'm not petting him. Honestly,
you're not paying attention, yeah.
Yeah, and he's standing like just out of arm range, so I can't even do it. Hold on, I'm gonna just lock him in a room.
All right, guys, everybody stand by.
All right. Come on, come here. Get over here. Come here. Shit, come on. Get in here. Get in here. Come on.
Everybody see this sinister fate?
Get in your room. Get in your room.
A local heavy metal band.
Come on. Get in your room.
Buy their stuff.
Get in your room.
All right. There we go.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Not a problem.
All right. Where were we? The pageantry. Yeah. The whole reason the pageantry of the rituals, the celebrations, the hokum, all that stuff. It's all kind of around just to be to show how important rituals are in like a societal form. It's almost an act of taking the piss out of organized religion. Like kneel, pray. What does it matter?
Right.
It's kind of what it is. I wish I could say it more eloquently, but
no, that's all right. So there's just no. Okay, so I mean, a lot of times, occult, satanic organizations, black magic is something that's sort of. I know in Temple of Satan, Church of Satan, you're expected to practice it in one way or another.
Right. But yeah, you're. I don't know. I've never felt the need to the outside forces telling me like, oh, you need to do this to be a part of anything. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, about what?
Because at that point,
Right.
like if somebody's saying you need to do this to be a part of something, like doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose? You know what I mean?
Of individualism.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you're like I've always been told like it's almost like Project Mayhem. Your level of involvement is based on your level of participation. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like if you want to go all out and like burn candles and have like orgies and put a goddamn pentagram on your floor, like go for it. That's awesome. Like, but if you want to, just have your card and donate money every once in a while to the church and keep that shit to yourself, like that's you're more than welcome to do that too. But I really want to stress, I am not an expert. I am just a member. Like
tell us about how you became a member.
Kind of honestly how I became like an actual card carrying member. A friend of mine was gonna get married and I needed to have a like an affiliation with something to get I needed to be ordained and whatnot to provide the services to wed them. And there was a list of different places and I went, well, I kind of line with their stuff anyway, and I literally just signed up, and then I was like, well, I could just stop doing this, or I could, continue doing this because I support them, and that's just kind of how it's been since a couple of years. But yeah, like I'm full on, like I absolutely love everything about the church, the temple. They are very wonderful people, as far as I've ever been able to tell. The people, and I want to say in charge, but like that's not even the right thing to say. Is because like yes, there's organizers, but it is a matter of just kind of like I don't know how to explain this. Like
It's
I said, you're
not a hierarchy of power as much as just
yes,
people who sort of like like organize certain events, certain activities, certain ideas, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Because it's almost like a fringe group, not a fringe group, but like because it's all pockets. It's very spread out, and I think I only know maybe 5 or 6 people in real life that can go like, yeah, I belong to the Satanic Temple, or I belong to the Church of Satan. Like, a lot of people go like, oh yeah, I'm down with that, whatever. But, well, they'd still wear
just
a
kind
cross.
of just sort of philosophically, they agree with it.
Yeah. But I don't know anybody. I mean, I do know some people, but it's very few and far between the people that actually are. Like putting the money where their mouth is with the cause, you know what I mean? And that's a shame. It's a real shame because in this country, that is the only way to make a big stir is to flash some cash.
I know I know the main American slogan since its inception is money is always more important than people.
100%.
Which is just makes me sick to my stomach. But anyway, that's very interesting. So you said these are really great people. Like, do you have monthly meetings? I know the pandemic kind of threw everything out of sorts, but I mean, like, what does it mean to be active in the Satanic Temple?
Oh boy, as far as I'm concerned, it's very low participation. For me, it's just staying in contact with your friends that have similar philosophies that also belong to that church. But like I said, there's people that go all out with it. They treat it, every month, every week, every day, whatever their commitment level is as far as they want to push it. You know what I mean? I think for me, they like that is a big thing for me. Is like no one's holding a gun to your head and saying you have to do something. You know what I mean? Like, no, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. And no one's going to like be like, oh, well, you can't come play with our toys anymore. Like, motherfucker, you didn't have any toys to begin with. But that's kind of my philosophy on it. I like where I live, like I told you before, it's in the middle of nowhere. So like if I had a better community, I'd absolutely like help organize events. It's just not an option for me at this moment.
You don't have everybody surrounding you, yeah.
Right. There's, like I said, I know 2 people locally and half a dozen, statewide. So like
in the temple?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Oh, 2 people locally, and then that's interesting. Okay.
But it's like you it's kind of funny. You kind of find people in shows, like you go to a concert, or I did stand-up comedy before the pandemic, and there's a lot of comics that have their card, which is really funny.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it has a lot to do with the free thought, idea behind it, and question everything. And like I said, if you have any questions about anything I said or conflicting, like not necessarily you, but the listener, look it up, because we encourage that, because I am I am very fallible. I'm dumb as shit. I'm not a person you should take life advice from.
Well, okay. What was I going to say? If somebody in the Satanic Temple wanted to like kind of get a thing going, like putting up the statue, the Baphomet statue, in response to the 10 Commandments thing, how would that go? How within the temple? How would you do that? Is there like some sort of website place where you go like say, hey, we need some activity here. Who's in? These evangelical Christians are doing this, and this. We hear about this shit in Florida with they're not allowed to even say the word gay in school. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, that needs to fucking get put down real fast.
The crap in Texas where they're going to put parents in jails if their kids are trans. The fuck?
Shit's disgusting.
It's absolutely disgusting. It's all based on Christian bullshit.
Absolutely, and that's what we need to fucking worry about. We don't need to worry about people, fucking wearing a dress. They need to worry about people who want to fucking hurt the people wearing the dress. And that's the fucking problem. And when people have, not to get off topic of what you asked me, but when you have people who have a fucking book that says it's okay to hurt someone because of the way they are, that is a fucking problem.
And that is the Bible.
Yes. And that Bible is allowed to have statues in front of, the Senate. And we get sworn in using it in the court. It's fucking ridiculous, and it needs to stop. And people can say, yeah, it's anti-American, but I think that's the dumbest fucking statement I've ever heard in my life.
It is a dumb statement, yeah.
Like you've heard that.
We all have 100%. They were, you still hear it. That's the fucking freako Trump people. But
fuck those people.
Yeah, they're insane. And we were literally it was the first constitution, the first government in the history of the world to separate church from state.
Right.
For a fucking reason.
Right.
Because they go badly together.
They go very badly together. Because they're the two powers, and when you put them together, it's absolute power.
Right, exactly.
And we all know
it's
exactly what happens
oppression.
with that. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that really draws me to the Satanic Temple is that impetus of justice, of getting out there and taking the basic understanding of individual freedom and liberty and using that to smack the shit out of oppressors like in this country with the 10 Commandment thing. I hope that there's some sort of activity in Florida and Texas from you guys for sure.
Now that you brought that up, I am going to actually look into that. If somebody is looking into that already. I highly suggest just going to the Satanic Temple website. I can't give you the correct information off the top of my head. That is way beyond my pay scale. But I'm sure there will be ways to make those contacts. I do want to say something real fast that just popped in my head, and it's far too poetic to let it just go. I think the reason why separating church and state is so vital is because religion is your heart, and the government is your mind. And when you have
that's a good analogy.
both people, like one person controlling both, and it's not you, that's a fucking problem.
It's a huge problem. That's a huge problem.
Yeah. I'm actually really proud of myself right now for thinking of that.
Well done. It's a very good analogy.
Thanks.
Very nicely done. What does Cheddar Express mean?
That's just my podcast. I have a Twitch channel and stuff. I figured it'd be an easy way to plug. I'm super poor, so I should, if anybody's watching right now, I have a T Public account with a bunch of silly ass T-shirts promoting smoking pot and worshiping Satan and shit like it says like bong hits for Jesus, which is an amazing it's an amazing reference to a court case in Alaska. And if you haven't heard it, I highly suggest Googling bong hits for Jesus and looking up the court case. A teenager, basically the rough go of it is during the, I want to say 03 Olympics, the guy carrying the torch or woman carrying the torch was running through their town, and they skipped school. Like the school allowed them to skip school to see this. And as the camera crews were filming him and his buddies held up a sign that said "Bong hits for Jesus," and they got kicked out of school. And their parents sued for freedom of speech, and it was ruled that because it's drugs. And it was a school event, even though he hadn't been at school that day at all, and it wasn't on school property or a school sanctioned event. But it was ruled that it was not in violation, or it was in violation of a public indecency law or something, and he ended up getting in trouble. But it's a very important case, and I highly suggest anybody looking that up. But anyway, we have a bunch of silly ass shirts, so if you want,
what is the website? Where would they go to?
It's just T Public, and then just look up the
letter T Public.
No, it's like TEE Public, and then .com, and then like a / Cheddar Express.
Oh, okay,
and
gotcha.
That'll be us.
So Christine Totten is telling me, she's like, it's legal in so many states. I'm assuming she means pot. Yes, it is. And it's unfortunate. I wonder, like, I'm going to go ahead and just post that on my, because I'm an adult and I'm not in school, so they can go fuck themselves. Right. Bong hits for Jesus. Or bong hits for Satan. I don't know. I'll think of something. But
it's wake and bake for Satan, and bong hits for Jesus.
Bong hits for Jesus. All right. I've had to lean on the Christ archetype a couple times in my life, in certain darker times. But again, they're archetypes.
I think I've only prayed once, and that wasn't involving a football game.
Are you a Green Bay fan?
I'm a Bear fan, actually.
Yes, my friend. We are now brothers.
I was born in Chicago, so like I got.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very cool.
But yeah, I've only prayed once in my life, and it didn't come true. So fuck them.
That's an interesting test. Like exactly. There have been studies done and like tests and shit on like the power of prayer, the efficacy of prayer. It's right. Okay. It doesn't do it. But
well, there's I don't. Can I just go on a little diatribe real fast before we exit? The problem with prayer is one thing. It's simple. If you believe in God and that there's a plan and all of that nonsense, and that God loves everybody equally, prayer cannot work at all.
Everything that he's planned on happening is going to happen, whether you ask for it or not. Right. Yeah,
right. Exactly. Well, anyway, you fuck that noise. Anyway, that's the major problem. But the reality of it is he loves everybody equally. So let's say you really want your job, right? And you really deserve that job. What happens to that guy who really deserves his job? Because God doesn't love him equally as you?
Right, exactly.
No.
No, it's logically incoherent. It doesn't work.
Right. And it's people just grasping at straws. Like that's why.
That's for sure.
Right, and that's why the religions prey on desperate people. They're predators. They're no different. I almost had said something and I backed off on it, but I think I'm going to stand by it. I think higher up, not most. I shouldn't say most, but there are people in the higher ups in churches that are no better than like chicken hawks and people that prey on children and people in weak times.
That's not anything you need to apologize or back up. We all know that the Catholic Church, dude. I mean, look at the former Pope Ratzinger just came out with another letter saying I didn't do anything wrong when he covered up all sorts of shit. Right, no, and he was the fucking Pope.
Why I was going to back off on it, and I was like, no, fuck them. Like,
fuck them.
They absolutely fucking do that
shit. They do. It's a travesty. What did they find? Like 200,000 unreported cases in France or something?
Do you know who doesn't?
It might even be more than that. It was ridiculous.
Do you know who's never been blamed for raping a child? Satan.
All right, well, there you go. Yeah.
Sorry, I should have said it that casually. But
Satan.
That's the comic.
It sounded like the church later. No, that's funny. That's
precisely.
Good. That's good shit. Exactly.
Satan.
That's good stuff. Okay, so we only got a couple minutes left. I really enjoyed this talking to you.
I did too. Thank you.
I did. This is great. Love to have you on again. We have somebody else coming on next week. This was part of my confusion when I first booked you and this other person. The other person is a member of the Satanic Temple. And I thought that I have, like, oh, cool, I have somebody from the Church of Satan, somebody from the Satanic Temple, which, in fact, it's both are from the same thing, which is fine. I don't remember his name, but I'm assuming you know him. Or do you know about the membership level? Like, how many people are in the ish?
No, honestly, I don't. I don't.
Okay.
I'm more, honestly, from an honest standpoint, I'm more of a donate my money and watch what they do with it kind of guy. Just because where I live, it'd be almost
that's understood, and I'm very similar. Like I give to a multitude of charities myself, because I believe in justice and I believe in helping people and that kind of thing. Right. And I merely give my money though because I have way too much. I do more in a day than most people do in a week, and so I don't have time to donate my physical body to doing something that I can't. I'm too fucking busy. But I'll give you money all day. Go ahead. Here you go. So which is fine, which is a perfect way of giving.
Right, absolutely.
Real quick, one last question. Going back to the structure of the temple. Is there a priesthood? I know you said there really isn't a hierarchy of power as such, but can you go up levels of like if you participate enough?
Yeah, I'm sure there is some sort of hierarchy. I'm sure. I mean, I'm positive that I'm as low on the totem pole as possible, and I'm fine with that. I'm sure there's definitely more people in charge. There has to be some people, that actually run the thing. And like I said, I'm terrible with names, so that's not going to happen.
And the very last thing, how does one become a member of the Satanic Temple if they choose to do so?
Shit. It's all in your heart, really. But if you want to make it official, you just
an official membership.
Yeah. All you got to go is go online. I think membership's technically free, but you pay for a card with your name. One of these little guys.
Yeah.
And you can pick your card, which card you want. It's got your name on it, designs, whatever.
Pick a card, any card.
Right. And a nice little plaque you can put on your wall. I have it in my bathroom because I find it funny. I have it right next to I have it right next to a Ghoulies poster. Yeah, absolutely. I have it right next to a Ghoulies poster. So people, it's got a little monster coming out of a John, so it's funny to me.
Yeah, no,
and people,
famous image.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a bath or a shower curtain that is Keanu Reeves dressed as Jesus holding a dog.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. That's about as close to Jesus as I get. But
that's cool. Right on. I just found my position here, like, because it looks like the thorns are coming out of my head.
Oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
For next time. All right, Church Jackson, thank you so much. Why don't you go ahead and give us the content, the Cheddar Express, CHEDDER.
Yes, we spelled it wrong.
EXPRESS. Well, I'll just assume you did it on purpose to be funny. Again, that's
we did.
Good. Okay. At CHEDDEREXPRESS at Cheddar Express and the T Public.
Yeah, T Public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna check out.
Yeah, on the web show, we just kind of we specialize in horror movies and pro wrestling.
I love horror movies.
Some nights, perfect. We have movie watch-alongs.
I don't like professional wrestling.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay.
Can we still be buds?
I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. Considering
I just never got into it. I just never did anything. I got many of my friends love it. I don't get it. No,
I totally get why people don't like it. It's dumb, but I love dumb things, so. But yeah, we cover more nostalgia based than what's current. And it's more we'll have movie watch-alongs, and sometimes I'll do a watch-along of a wrestling pay-per-view or something. I'm gonna try to start doing a video game, just playing along with fans, or not fans. That's
interesting.
But like viewers.
Yeah, my brother does that. He has some YouTube channel where he literally he smokes pot, he sits there, he plays video games, and lets people watch.
Yeah,
it's very voyeuristic. That's fun. I love that. Okay, very cool. But maybe I can hook you two up. Christine Tutton says, "I love MMA." Yeah, no, I mean real fighting is I love boxing. I love watching the people.
When I was 19 through 22, I used to MMA fight.
So, nice, that's impressive. That's very cool. We're a little bit over, so I gotta let you go, my friend.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Church Jackson, thank you so much again for being on. This was great. We'll have you on again. We have much more to discuss. Christine, thanks for tuning in. And everybody else, thank you. This is the Gadfly. I'm your host, David Rich. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
See you later, guys.
I'll see you later, Church.